Yo, D-Bot, what's up?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
Dude, everything's going on. The world is gathered together for the beautiful game.
Yes.
And I am loving every minute of it, man. How have you been enjoying your Copa Mundial? Happy Feliz Copa Mundial a ti.
Feliz Copa Mundial. Dude, I feel like FIFA needs to come up with another world tournament around the holidays now because
right?
It's an amazing feeling waking up.
It's perfect right now. Yeah.
Like Thanksgiving Day, you're with your family making the food in the morning and there's matches happening, you know? And it's kind of like, your team might be the one day that that they're playing, but then the next morning it's like a whole nother team and you're thinking like, oh, I wonder how that group's doing, and you just kind of watch because you're curious, you're wanting to see, oh, look to how do these superstars look right now. So
exactly,
it's amazing, it's the holiday cheer, that was missing.
It's a magical time of the year, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been enjoying it, outside the controversies of the fact that it's in Qatar, but I think that, there's, I don't know what, I can't solve that, I guess, but it is what it is. It's that's for the news.
That's for a different podcast, I think.
Yeah, that's for a different podcast. That's for a different organizations to discuss, but I've been definitely enjoying watching these matches. It's been great. So I've definitely, the group stage was a lot of fun. I know we have a big old chat going that has been blowing up, and shout out to everybody there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Shout out to everybody on the group chat. That we got to put that on the Discord. That should be on our West Box Score Discord, that we get together with everybody like that. We got to send that whole lounge over. And I love the way we had another group chat with another buddy of ours. Yeah, and that when he started talking about it, I'm like, no, we're over here on the Slack channel. He's like, oh damn. Now he's over there with us too. So we gotta send out that invite to everybody here who listens to our show, man, so that everybody could get in, especially now that we're in the thick of the World Cup, man. Yes. The group stage is over. This is where people like to say, oh, this is the exciting part. If you're one of those people who like to say that the exciting part of Champions League or the exciting part of a World Cup tournament like this is the knockout round, you're missing out. That's like saying, I only like the frosting that's on this cake. It's frosting's good, but the whole cake makes it delicious, man.
Exactly.
The spongy part of the cake, the frosting together, maybe a little scoop of the ice cream. Come on. You got to have the whole thing. It's delicious. Yeah, exactly. So as we were saying, World Cup, man, and I think a lot of teams that we support, we were less than optimistic about it, right? Yeah. We predicted our winners, and none of our teams that we support were on those winners. No. So, and sure enough, the teams that we support are not in the knockout group anymore. The only team to make it to the knockout stage was USA. So, and that was exciting altogether because this group, I'm gonna first talk about the group stage for Mexico and how weird that kind of was, where we kind of knew they were going to have issues scoring. Yeah. And the first two games were proof positive of that. Yeah. No goals in the first two games, and just only got to salvage the point from Poland thanks to Santo Memo.
Yeah, that was
first making a beautiful stop on Lewandowski on a PK. Again, another PK stop by Memo. So it was just amazing to see that. And then the game against Argentina, I really feel, and I wish we could get more fans of it to be on here. Either shout out to you, Sonny. Shout out to Rick Esparza. Yeah. Lucha Royale episode coming soon. Keep updating that feed. So, I mean, because I really felt, and maybe I'm watching this and Donald, you're a little bit less biased than I am, but I felt that first half was Mexico's chance to actually get something. Argentina was still unconfident with themselves. They were still they were one loss away from being eliminated themselves. Yeah. So I really felt that their confidence was shaking, and it was almost like they were ripe for the picking. You get a goal here, and you're gonna just shake all their confidence. Yeah. You're gonna make them overly aggressive and open themselves up even more. So once again, just rose-colored glasses. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just hoping more than it was really happening. But then, of course, second half, that Messi magic comes through. That left leg, man, that left foot deserves to be gold, dipped in gold and statued for humans in centuries from now to see that this was the most perfect human left foot.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Right. So yeah, I mean, 2-0 win for Argentina over Mexico, and then that's the beauty of this World Cup. Our group stages are the last days.
Yeah.
And how crazy and chaotic they are.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's, we'll get into a little bit more later, but Mexico had the chance. They just needed one more goal from Argentina. They needed one more goal themselves, and they would have advanced to the knockout stage.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like, as you're watching it, you're kind of hearing what's going on.
Yeah.
Before that happened, you hear Messi got his PK blocked earlier on in that game.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, like maybe Poland's going to pull through. Of course not. Of course they're not. Argentina scored 2 goals on them.
Yeah.
And then you look back on it with hindsight, it's like, damn, if Messi would have scored that PK, Mexico wouldn't have had to be overly aggressive trying to get their own third goal.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have given up that one goal to Saudi Arabia, where they probably could have advanced. And then once again, a whole bunch of what ifs and what maybes. You can't look at them that way, but it's just like, damn, so close. So it's heartbreaking. I'm not as bummed about it because I wasn't expecting them to get out, right?
Yeah.
But also knowing that, man, they were that close.
Yeah,
they were that close.
Dude.
That's the fun of it. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
So, man, that was Mexico. And now, of course, Tata immediately, as soon as that final whistle blew, he's out. And I believe on the plane in Mexico, they're already talking smack to him, dude. They have security around them. Jeez. So I think I saw at one point he didn't make a connecting flight from Spain down to Mexico, but I guess he did make it eventually. I actually don't know where these fans were from Mexico who were giving him a bunch of crap in the airport. So It's just crazy, man. I mean, he's the most hated man in Mexico right now for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, you get and Sonny would have told you the last time he was on. It's not just him. Everything I've read too, he's not the only one to blame. There's a lot of blame that needs to be pointed there, and a lot of rebuilding needs to be made. And so, we'll see you guys in 4 years. All right, Donald, that's the episode. How did USA look, man? 'Cause I know that you're more of a Stars and Stripes guy.
Yeah, dude. They looked better than Mexico. But at the same time, too, like, I mean, for me, it was just like I had a lot of fun watching them. I know I initially had predicted that they were going to advance, even though Sonny talked me out of it. But I knew, like, in my heart, I was like, no, they're gonna push through. Like, I'm sorry, like Wales, Bale, he's not who he was before, and that's just kind of that's how that played out. But overall, like, 2 goals from the USA. First one was obviously against Wales, which I think everybody watching felt like, dang, they're really going to get these 3 points against Wales, which is a pretty cool thing to say, right? Like, I think this is where you start to realize, like, you got the different federations, right? And anybody that can take out a UEFA team, it's just like, okay, like, you're going to be celebrated. So that would have been cool to see them win against Wales. Had Zimmerman not made that mistake that caused a PK that Bale buried in. But yeah, and then obviously England and USA was pretty intense. I think that was probably one of the best showings that USA showed. I think that it was really fun to see that, how fierce they were attacking. And man, all these kids are young, man. You got these young kids where, like, a majority of them are playing in Europe, especially in the starting 11. Like, I mean, Dest and Pulisic and McKinney. These are all guys who are, like, under 25 and playing out in Europe. And it's really impressive because you're seeing it on the pitch, how different the style looks and how more put together they look, right? I think the only things that are a little bit off are the MLS guys. And it kind of sucks to say that because I love the MLS. But, like, for me personally, it just was kind of day and night, like Zimmerman, even though he's a center back and Dest is a wing, it's just like Dest just, like, looks so much more put together, but then that's what happens when you're playing at Barcelona. I think, like, Zimmerman, if he gets better, he probably could get a shot in Europe. It'd be great to see that. But yeah, I think that the US, they made some progress. This probably is the best US team that we've seen from the history of the team. I think last time I'm thinking of like Landon Donovan and maybe Clint Dempsey as strikers. But
Mm-hmm.
even then, like the overall team, the midfield was not this great. Like in terms of McKinney, Adams, and I'm missing the last name. The third Musa as
Mm-hmm.
Musa also. But yeah, and then obviously Iran USA was fun. That was our last game. I mean, I think we all knew that like USA just had to win it, and we kind of felt that they were gonna win it. I think Iran really had nothing left to play for, and I know Iran's presence was a little. This is where like the political thing starts to drive in because that was a huge part of it, especially because they protested in the first match with the national anthem, and then obviously you see the fans, and then there's all this stuff. So that storyline is playing on top of the match just actually happening, and yeah, but the U.S. had to win to advance, and that's what they did. So they advance, England advances, Wales gets bumped out, and then they go and play the Netherlands, and the round of 16. I kind of felt that it was going to be a draw at the end, and that the U.S. was going to just lose in extra time,
Mm-hmm.
but that they were going to go the distance. I kind of felt they were going to have their Rocky moment, going all 12 rounds and just losing it. But it's like, whatever, like you went the distance. But quickly, I saw like 10 minutes in, once the first goal by the Netherlands was made, that like the moment was too big for them. And they looked really shook. I mean, they had more of the possession, but you could tell they were really backing off from Netherlands. Like they were trying to figure out how could they get in, but Netherlands was not letting them up at all. And I mean, when you got Van Dijk, Big Verge on your defense, like it's a brick wall, man. So the tactics aren't there for that. But overall, man, I think it was fun seeing them, and I'm really looking forward to them. I think a lot of people are optimistic with USA come 2026. I think they realize that, some of the holes are just maybe get a solid striker, get a solid center back. I mean, a lot of soccer Twitter is kind of not really liking Berhalter in terms of like they feel like he's okay. Like if you're going to just do the CONCACAF stuff like Gold Cup, Nations League, yeah, you're probably serviceable guy. But I think in the more world stage, I think a lot of fans would hope that, he'd be able to be better or get a coach that can be able to take a team in with the world stage experience. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, in my opinion, because we had the German guy before him, Klinsmann, and he wasn't really that great. So, and Klinsmann supposedly, and he won a World Cup as a player. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what makes the resume and all this stuff. Yeah.
They need to bring Pep. Is what I was seeing a lot online. Is Pep Guardiola? Guardiola is going to be the next coach for the U.S. men's national team. Why not bring Jill Ellis, dude? She seems to find ways to find
dude.
USA winners. I mean, what's wrong with? I mean,
It'd be dope, dude. That'd be like pretty historic to see.
Right?
That'd be sick. So, yeah, man. But I don't know. What were your thoughts on the U.S.?
I thought they're a very talented team. They have a lot of talent. They're very young. They're definitely on the upswing. And in more and more rooting, I find myself during this World Cup, it's the one time of the year where it's okay to be a little bit like nationalistic in a sense, where it doesn't have such a bad term anymore.
Yeah.
And I just can't find, and I don't know, I guess it will, not to get too political again, but it all goes back to the way that Trump has kind of, made the U.S. flag look so negative now and have such that underlying negativity with, racism to it, where it's hard for me to fully root for like get this whole USA chant going without feeling a little grossed out by it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just my personal feeling on it. Yeah. It's just a weird thing where as soon as Mexico was knocked out, I'm like, well, I'm not going to really root for anybody else.
Yeah.
Like that's just a team I'm going to root for because I don't want to see the USA do well. I'd rather see Mexico win it.
Yeah.
Because I feel a Mexico win of the World Cup would matter so much more than the U.S. win.
Yeah.
Where me being somebody who lives in the U.S. knows that if our country does win it all, like nobody's gonna care here. Like we're gonna care, but like the country as a whole, the way anywhere else in the world would shut down, right?
Yeah.
Where Saudi Arabia called a freaking, a national holiday.
Yeah.
If the U.S. were to win a World Cup, are they calling a national holiday here? No. So it's like, it's hard for me to get fully behind them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's all that aspect, all that in my mind when I watch this U.S. men's national team. And I guess I don't necessarily feel that way about the women's team, because I feel like, well, they're also people who are kind of not treated as well as everybody, as some of us people of color.
Yeah.
Where women have it almost just as bad. Yeah. So I can find myself reading a little bit more for them. And I know we said this wasn't that political podcast, but it's kind of very into it a little bit. This way I'll get off my soapbox in just a minute, where I just kind of have a hard time fully being that USA type of supporter. I joked with the wife the other day, the day before the USA Netherlands game. I'm like, I'm going to stop by Nikki's Sporting Goods here and buy a USA shirt. And she laughed. She's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not. I can't in my heart wear that and be like supporting. Yeah. But yet there I am. Every time Italy puts out a new horrible looking shirt, I'm there because I gotta support. I gotta feel like it's like that is my team and I'm going to root for them and I want them to do well. And because I know, having family down in Mexico, what that would mean. Yeah. What advancing past the round of 16 would mean. Yeah. Just those little things matter more so here. And I told my wife, like, I really want the USA to go far and do well because I want the sport to be more popular. Yeah. And she kind of made that same point I made. We're like, nobody's going to care here. I'm like, damn, you're right. Yeah. Like, that's the MLS, and I think the closest thing we have to that slowly breaking that stereotype down is the MLS. Yeah. Is the fact that we have a league here that is slowly getting bigger and just mainly getting better, right? The league is getting better. The talent is getting better. They say the gap is closing a little bit from here versus like teams in Europe, but the play doesn't really show that on the field quite yet. But all this to say that, yes, I wasn't rooting. I see kind of the U.S. men's team as I was watching LAFC in the MLS Cup and playoffs. Yeah, I'm not actively rooting against them anymore because that's a negative. That's a waste of energy to be that negative about it. Yeah, but I'm not hoping they win. Obviously, right? Like I'm not a supporter of theirs. I'm not going to root for them. Yeah. So that's kind of where I am with the U.S. men's national team. I'm not going to actively root for them. Yeah. But I'm not going to waste energy rooting against them because I also did watch that Amazon Prime documentary, Good Rivals, which shows the history of USA versus of the men's national team in Mexico versus the U.S. men's national team in the United States, and gives you that good history of it. Yeah. And just how heated that rivalry is. Yeah. And how you really can't. It's really not okay to root for both. Yeah. You really shouldn't be rooting for both. And that's kind of where I'm at. I've kind of picked my side. So I'm just not going to, like I said, I'm not going to actively root against. Yeah. But I'm not, especially when we're not playing each other. But when USA versus Mexico, then it's on. Then it's on. Then it's a tráfico time.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So what are your thoughts of this World Cup overall, man? Like group stages, surprises, like, I mean, what team has like just really stood out to you? Like, wow, I can't believe they're doing this.
I mean, we're recording this on a Sunday, and Mbappe, made history, and France looks really strong. That I'm just kind of like, oh my God, it feels like they could win this thing back to back. Like, what the heck? Like, this is insane. Talk about a country that just did, for as much as, yes, there was a lot of turmoil leading up to it, it looks like they're taking care of business on the pitch when it matters. And I think that first game they had, it was a little rocky. It almost felt like, oh, shoot, looks like they are not going to be put together. People were like saying maybe it might be like Germany again after they won it, but no, like, dude, they're scary, man. They're scary, and I would not want to face them. I saw on Twitter too, like that. I guess this would have been the team Mexico faced if Mexico had advanced. So it's like, damn, like, so I think one guy said, "Oh man, maybe we got spared or something.
Well,
but it's still, you still want your team to make it to the knockout.
I made that joke too. Like, I didn't have to wake up at 7 a.m. to see them lose, but like, it should have been us losing to France. God damn it! Like if anyone was gonna lose to France, we would have showed a real ass kicking. We would have taken that nicely on the chin. But yeah, I mean, France has been amazing. And I was saying too, this has been like a really crazy World Cup with, like, of course, the Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. Yeah. Just all
Japan beating Germany.
Germany being eliminated from the group,
Yeah.
Like, just like all this crazy stuff. That's like Denmark not making it out of the group as well. Like, I really was surprised by that too.
Yeah.
I thought they'd at least get out of that group.
Yeah.
And so there's just all these little big things, right? Where like you think, well, this might have been a year where, and this again, my rose-colored glasses, where like if Mexico had their stuff anywhere put together, they could have done some real damage. Because this is such a crazy World Cup. But no, obviously, like, these, as I say, that like this is a crazy World Cup, and some of these big teams aren't looking as good, right? Because Argentina still has looked a little bit inconsistent sometimes.
Yeah, right. It felt like they lost to Saudi Arabia, and I think that's when everybody. I know I have some Argentine friends, and they were like, "Don't talk to me," they were sad after that loss. Like, it did hit them, the fans, really hard. I think because the expectation for them is hey, this is Messi's last run.
Exactly.
It's all or nothing. Like, there is no like, oh, great job for making it to whatever to the semis. No, like they want that cup for him. The fans do, at least. And yeah, they look like, well, maybe Argentina just doesn't have it and all that. And nah, dude, I think after that loss, they really just came out and started showing up, and it's insane to see how they've had that consistency in terms of just winning the games. But like, the thing is that they're not doing it the way France is doing it, where they're just like kicking ass. They're just kind of like figuring it out, and I guess in a way they're just kind of letting the other team wear down, and then they just kind of come in and get those goals in and whatnot. So like, I mean, Messi had a good weekend, right? So it was kind of like, it was interesting seeing that, though, like seeing like the kind of like almost rockiness of Argentina maybe not going far, and like everyone already knowing before it even happened. And now it's like, I don't even know if I can even say that, but I still kind of want to say it's going to happen, because like, I just don't see them strong enough. Like, they don't look like France, and they definitely don't look, and they don't look like Spain either. Spain was also another very convincingly good team. So, and Brazil they won one game, right? The without Neymar.
2 games. Oh yes, they won 2 games without Neymar. I think Neymar got hurt in the first game.
Oh, was it the first one? Okay,
I believe it was the first game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like it was the first game. You're right. I think it may have been the second game, but he's supposed to come back for their
tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow for their round of 16 game against Japan or no, South Korea.
South Korea,
is who they got, which is crazy. I mean, I am so like, how you always, once your team is out, you kind of like piggyback on a country that you want to do well. Yeah. And for me, that's Japan.
Yeah.
I was so
They're very amazed
by
very impressive run by
They
Japan.
are very impressive run, and I love their fan base. When you see on social media their fan base cleaning up after every game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like such a cool thing, and just like a very humane thing to be doing to me, and I like that's so enamoring to me. So I'm like, oh, I want them to be happy. I want them to have nice things. So I'm
I guess when you're sober at the World Cup.
Well, I feel like there's not as many beers to clean up now, right? So but they do this every World Cup, and so I love that their fan base does this, and it's very. I wish more fan bases would do this at a World Cup, right?
Yeah,
like it's easy to say, like, oh, let's bring this over to the U.S. like after a freaking Dodger game. Like we're not doing that. No. We're not. But no. I feel like it's very a respectful thing to do when like. You realize a nation is hosting all the other nations. I think that's where it comes from. I don't know if that's where it comes from or not. I should look into it more. But I feel like that's a good vibe.
Feels
that's
cultural,
a good sense. Yes.
Sure.
Well, it's very cool. But I wonder if But speaking of cultural, like I wonder if that's done at Japanese baseball games. Like
probably. I don't know.
I wonder.
I wouldn't be. If that's the case, then that feels like wow. Okay, that's where it came from.
Then yes, we should start imploring that more in our own culture, right?
Yeah.
So,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, be really cool. Just humane thing to do. And so yeah, Japan is my team that I'm kind of like egging myself onto.
Get a
but
jersey.
It's gonna bring out that's a cool blue jersey, man. It's really nice.
I think they always get pretty cool jerseys. I like their little logo. It's like I don't know if it's like a lion or something. That they have. It looks really cool. So,
but I'm very surprised too that Belgium didn't advance.
Mm-hmm. Dude.
I expected a better showing from Canada. Canada didn't do nothing.
Yeah, the U.S. was the only CONCACAF team that made it, which I think people were somewhat surprised. I think, Mexico is always like they had to be there, but obviously this year they weren't. But it was kind of like, okay, they have to be one of them. And the U.S. was based on their whole squad. But then Canada was kind of like, if they make it, that'd be great, But yeah, it was surprising to see like, wow, they flamed out. And I want to say I don't think Canada's group was too tough. I don't want to say that, but I want, you know what I mean? Like I mean, my take too with the whole Mexico, their whole run, I think a lot of it too was a draw of the group. Like I think had you gotten another team that's not in the CONMEBOL or a UEFA, I think it would have been a better shot. But drawing Argentina and Poland, I felt like, well, that was going to be a bit of a tall order. I think Poland was super beatable for Mexico.
Right.
Like that looked like a winnable game. And I think everybody had penciled that Argentina would be the loss, and then Saudi Arabia would be another win, and that would have been the 2 wins to advance. But I felt like, well, it's Poland. It's a UEFA thing. Those UEFA teams, they play each other all the time up in Europe, and it's a whole different level. And I know that's a lot of the conversation I've been reading on Twitter. I think Taylor Twellman was talking about how like, yeah, if US wants to get better as a CONCACAF, like they got to start playing outside of the federation and start looking to see if they get involved with the South American teams or something, because like there's just there's always gonna be you're gonna hit your ceiling, and it's not gonna work in the world stage. And there's like a lot of that, and I just felt like it sucks, because then they put you in these groups, in the draw, and then you do feel a little bit like, wait, how do we go against this team that looks like they're more put together, not just because they're from that country, but those countries have those resources that actually create these strategies that help you win. And you can just tell, like even Costa Rica, right? Like my family's Central American, so Costa Rica was the closest country to them, so like we felt for the fact that they got killed by in the first game. I forgot who against Spain, I think it was, or I don't know
it was like 7-0 game.
It was 7-0, right? And you're just like, damn, like that sucks for them, because like you want them to feel like that they're not this sucky Central American team that has no resources. But then US, they don't have any resources. Like that's kind of the product that they have out there, and it's unfortunate, but that's just like that's the product of the system, the country, economics, and all that. And then they had a pretty good showing, like in the last 2 games before they got eliminated. I think they kind of showed some heart, and it was kind of cool to see that. But nobody wants to feel like they're that limited going into the World Cup. You want to feel like you worked hard to qualify. You want to put on good matches. You only get 3 chances, so make them all count and go all out. So I thought that's something that was cool to see in the group side, and something that I do feel with some of the more under-resourced teams and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I mean, it's been fun to see it. It does feel like it's kind of just as it's advancing in terms of like the matches happening in the knockouts, that it's starting to get closer and closer to like the UEFA takeover happening. So it's kind of a bummer, and Argentina and Brazil being the only 2 CONMEBOL teams that end up out there. So I
get what you're saying, and it's very true. Yes, the UEFA teams are on a whole nother level, and I guess we are trying to all just play catch up, just because there's so much talent in that part of the world when it comes to strategy, when it comes to skill, just know-how, and just like you said, resources. And this comes to the whole country getting behind the sport to put in those resources, right? So, I mean, the South American teams love it. I mean, Central American and Mexico, we all love the game, but love only gets you so far. You need to have that money. Like that's great. You love your partner, but you got to buy a house. So you got to do this. So you can't really do that unless you have the proper funding to like get the facilities, to bring the coaches in. I mean, keep your players, or really let your players go and develop. That's what I really think is key.
Yeah,
I think we touched on this a little bit in our Slack channel that I really feel that Mexico needs to, and the U.S. You guys mainly talk about U.S., but I really felt this way about Mexico as well. Is letting their players go to Europe and go get minutes though with those clubs.
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of will they be able to get those minutes, which is very important too. I think Eduardo brought up a good point where like they go, but they don't get minutes there. Yeah. So that's why it kind of shows when they come back here and they're not necessarily match fit. So that's very important that they do get quality minutes against quality opponents. And I think your point is the most true, is that they do need to have maybe more friendlies, or try to get invited into some kind of invitational tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why if US or Mexico could get invited to Copa America would be great for them. Just to have that experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far like where we stand now in the knockout stage, man, it's crazy. It comes through fierce, and Brazil is looking strong, and I know they're gonna do damage against South Korea. Yeah. But in the game today, what I found was interesting. England's Senegal is. Yeah, England won 3-0, but early on, Senegal had some chances. England looked a little shaky in the very beginning, but then England turned it on and turns around. That's why I'm saying like it's so shaky and crazy where it feels like anything could happen in this World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the Argentina-Australia round of 16 game, 2-1. I mean, that's a very close game. Like, yeah. It doesn't, they don't feel like these blowouts, even though the scores kind of look like blowouts, and for the most part, 3-1 against Netherlands against US, like these don't feel like they don't feel like blowouts, which makes them more exciting.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
And it kind of feels like it's anybody's tournament, and I guess it's still early on knockout stages, but when we get into the real, like, nitty gritty of it, where Netherlands versus Argentina coming up next in the quarterfinals, Netherlands looked really good against the US.
Yeah.
And Argentina sometimes is still trying to find their confidence. Like, did they get it against Australia? Didn't necessarily look like it, but they got it done. So that usually does spur some confidence, but that could go either way. As much as you feel like Argentina's should take it, it really could go either way. Yeah. And then it would just set up a possible semifinal, just me looking ahead.
Yeah.
Against Brazil. Like, does that, the Copa America final rematch, does Brazil get their revenge? I would think so, right?
Yeah, feels like it. Yeah.
And then, I mean, that's just, and it's so close for Messi, man. It's just so close, but it just feels like it's not going to happen. And then England, France in the quarterfinal, like, man, we're getting treated to such great freaking football, man. It's crazy.
It is.
I mean, so all this, Donald, to say is, so far in your round of 16 here, how do you see it playing out? Who do you see taking it?
Man, I mean, again, after seeing France today, it felt like they're the most confident. But Brazil's so good too, man. I mean, they're just so well put together. So I can't. I don't know. I guess I if I had to, I mean, I would, based on who's left, I would want to see Argentina take it, just so that Messi can kind of just start making his way to Miami already and all that. And
apparently that's happening no matter what. But okay.
Yeah. So that we could buy tickets when he comes to LA. So. It'd be nice to see that. I think that seeing Argentina take it would be nice, just for Messi's legacy would be really really cool. So that's kind of who I would vote. But that's who I would think would be able to take it based off just grit and skill and all that. But I know France has they're just really poised. And then to your point too with Japan, I think it's a lot of fun seeing them. Just seeing how they disrupted that group stage was just amazing. I want to see if they can continue disrupting this knockout. It'd be fun. It's a tall order, but
I'm serious, man. I'm that's my team, dude. I have to go to Nikki Sports and get that Japan jersey, man. Let's go. Let's do it, dude. But I mean, all I know is we are as fans are the real winners on this. We get to watch all these games. We get to see this happen, and it's just like now we don't have to be on the edge of our seats. We can kind of actively root for or against. Like, to me, I like to actively root against England now, just for the "it's coming home" thing.
It's coming home.
I mean, no, because of course I see a few of my friends who are going for England and like, oh, maybe it is coming home, and I want to write back, spoiler alert, it's not. It's just, and that's the beauty of like the internet and group chats and what we're all doing is it's all freaking fun. It's fun to talk the smack and enjoy the game, and then see the good things too. Like, as I'm scrolling through, I saw this French fan who was wearing Gignac Tigres jersey, and a Mexico fan walks up to him. He's like, "Hey man, why are you wearing that jersey?" He's like, "Oh, a Mexican fan gave it to me. He said I would like it because I love Gignac, and he said the Tigres team, that's the team he plays for in Mexico." And he's like, with the French accent, they're talking, with their French and Mexican accents, and they're talking back and forth, and it's just so great to see that come together. Like the game bring countries together for the love, and it's just so sweet, and that's the beauty of this game, man. Every 4 years this happens, and that's what makes it all sweet, right? Like, it's the holidays, it's the World Cup, it's everything happening all at once. It's almost too much. My heart can't take it. It's too sweet. My cold black heart can't take it. It's growing. I'm like the Grinch who's happy with all this stuff. Like, I don't care that Mexico's out. Like, I'm just enjoying everything here. I'm just being able to root against some vilified, there's some heels out there, some teams I just don't like. I'm going to root against them no matter what. But I only root against them because they're so good. Like, that's France. Yeah. France is just so freaking good. I don't want them to win, but of course they're going to win. It's like they're like Triple H back in the early 2000s. I hate them, but because they always win. Of course, that's why I hate them, because they always win. They're so good. So it's just so much fun, man. This World Cup, we're just taking it all in and enjoying as much as we can, because when this is over in about another couple of weeks, we're going to have another, few weeks. It feels like 6 weeks for us to suffer as Galaxy fans again. So let's just be happy now, because in through the end of January, the big news with our LA Galaxy, Donald, what happened?
So if you guys did not see Galaxy Twitter go off yesterday, it actually did around, I want to say 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I think this was reported at 2 or 3, somewhere around there's the afternoon, right? So if you watched, the last game yesterday, the World Cup at 1 o'clock, you probably had like some lunch, and then you turn on Twitter an hour later, you see this bombshell just drop. And that is that the MLS has suspended President Chris Klein of the LA Galaxy for the full 2023 season. And on top of that, they actually fined the club $1 million on top of actually also deducting $1 million worth of GAM, general allocation money, for the club. And I believe there's some other stuff about not being able to sign certain players outside the country. I think I might not be 100% sure.
International signings,
but we got Pujin just in time. So but that was pretty huge, because I know Galaxy Twitter was going off mainly because of the fact that it's like, wow, so there's a cheating scandal happening, and we don't even have like a world title to like show for it or anything like that. And it's kind of a weird look. It's a bad look, but it's also kind of like a head scratching. Like, I guess this would mean more if we were like, some kick-ass like club, but we can't even, like, we cheated, and we couldn't even like cheat with like success. Like,
I mean, I get all that, right? And I love a lot of the comments and responses to this were like, oh, we're getting LA Galaxy, we're getting sanctioned for something our president did in 2019. Yeah. So that means in about 2024, LAFC sanctions are going to come down. So I thought that's pretty, hey man, that feels pretty accurate. I mean, Thornburg, look out. So I mean, yes, I get what a lot of the negative stuff is like, they cheated and they still couldn't do anything. Well, they still had a messed up coach at that time. They still had GPS, so they weren't going to do well with him no matter what. And if you're not cheating, you're not trying, dude. Of course you're going to try to do this stuff. And it's only cheating if you get caught, and he got caught, so now it's cheating.
Yeah.
So when I saw Chris Klein in the news, I thought, oh, they finally let him go. Oh shit, no. It's like,
I mean, that's the funny part that you said that, because a lot of some of the other reporters, like Delmy and all of them I was following, we're saying that, like, yeah, it looks like this could be it for him and the front office. Like, I don't see how AEG just doesn't just cut them loose. But then at the same time, I saw Guessman report that apparently Klein doesn't even have a contract for next year. Right. So how do you suspend someone who you don't really technically have on the books at the end of the month? It's kind of a weird, unless they already were expecting to give him the extension and then this came down after the fact. I don't know. But, it's like there's all these variables that I think are kind of intriguing to me. I think as fans, we just want to know, does this mean he's out? Because that's kind of like majority of them. I feel like that's the most important thing. As we look through these articles, like with our magnifying glass, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Yeah. So like the big takeaways is like what you said, right? He's suspended through the primary transfer window, which is not through the end of the year, it's through the end of early May. And we're losing some big money, right? Of the $1 million fine, the $1 million GAM money, general allocation money. And it's also the fact that we can't sign international players on that second transfer window, the summer transfer, which is when we picked up Puig and Bregman and Caracas. It's like, Caceres. So it's like, it's very important that we have that option to do that. But now we're going to be handcuffed to having to make moves like right now before like the real start of the season. Yeah. So, because that's another thing too, there's no transfer window schedule that's been released yet. So we really wouldn't know when Klein's potential suspension would be for. Yeah, exactly. And I think like even, some fans too were also saying like, wow, and we still haven't even gotten anybody in this winter transfer window. Before the season started, so it's just like horrible all around. like it's just like, what's going on here? And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird news story, right? Because it's like, oh wow, he's really gone. A lot of fans were asking for that, but then we don't know. I mean, I guess this is the roster we have now. We're like stuck with Cabral. But.
Right, because that's what I've been hearing as a lot of hope is that there's some potential way for us to move Cabral off of our books and open up a DP spot, because the Galaxy desperately need a DP spot to do something, especially for winging. I really think they need to pick up a forward somewhere along the wings to go to service along Chicha. And maybe if Costa looked a lot better in that little part of the...
Yeah, I think they said they were going to move on from him, no?
I mean, if they do, that would be great, but I don't know how they do it. I think he was stuck. We're stuck with him for a year and a half.
Now after this news, I'm like, I guess we kind of have to like make it work with because we can't replace guys, like especially if we're trying to get international guys, right? We can't just replace them. I mean, it'd be like all we have is like Galaxy 2, right, or something, like, or we start making some trades for some other guys in the MLS. But like, it's just weird. It's just it's not really what the Galaxy do in terms of how they build rosters. Like,
correct, yeah. I mean, I know they're in the mix and possibly a favorite to sign United States defender Aaron Long.
Oh, okay.
So that's who they're bringing in. But I also hear Seattle's in there in the mix, Miami's in the mix, but there's a lot of teams in the mix, and he played one game in the World Cup. He played in one of the games, so he's center back along with Zimmerman. So I mean, but I feel like, and that's gonna fill in the depth of Williams being gone, because Derek Williams is gone. I forget. And then do you bring back Sasha as for depth? You don't, because he's too old. And then I haven't heard anything about Delgado being brought back. I think it's very important that he be brought back for those three pieces of midfielders that we need. Yeah. We do need midfielding depth. I mean, internationally, it's going to be a long year for the Galaxy, it looks like, because we don't even know how they're going to build a team. Vanny's one man, and he's doing everything. Yeah. I don't know how you do that, man. I mean...
And coach at the top of that, yeah.
And you're right, come up with strategies. I mean, I get the whole having control issues, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna build this team and I want this guy to run this style. But really, there's so many hours in the day to do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, more power to him if he makes it happen. But the thing is, we're so it's early December now. The season kicks off February 25th.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl.
Like and Rose Bowl game. Get ready, a Tráfico game, and it's just like, and I believe they were supposed to report to camp in early January. So in a month from now, this month's
gonna fly by for the Galaxy. Like before they know it, it's like we got to report, we got to train, you got to start figuring out the starting 11, all that. And I don't think they have enough time.
It's good. And that I think is where that summer transfer window is going to kill a Galaxy. Yeah. That's really what's going to screw them up, because they're going to have to work so fast and not be able to. Yeah. Where this has just handcuffed them in such a bad way. And to your point, where I think this might be the nail in Chris Klein's coffin, you have to hope so, right? Because this is happening under your watch. This has to be like, say whatever you want of why we hated him to begin with, of the signings he's made and what have you. But if you're an employer of somebody and you see your employee screw up this bad, don't you have to you have to fire them?
Yeah. Feels like it'd be weird, right? If they just still kept them on.
Oh my God. This would be the most, if you thought your boss was bad at work, guys, like this would be like your coworker just screwed up big time and you didn't fire him. Well, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Who else are we going to hire?
Exactly. I don't know.
Oh my God. It's awful,
if Vanny's doing interim and if he does a good job,
But then you would have to then bring in another coach.
I know. It's a tall
bring GBS
regardless, back. Yeah. But
bring it Piojo. Yeah, that's who they need to bring.
I was hearing.
That'll get him over
that rumor. Like.
Oh my God! Reunite him and Chicha one more time. They can do it.
There you go. That's the formula.
Summer transfer in Vela. Why not? We can't go international, so we could go within clubs. Yeah. Oh my God! Play this back for Sonny. He's gonna love this. Oh my God! I think on that note, the D-Bot, I think we have to end it on that note, because this is super. We're not topping anything else from there. Oh man, that's it. See ya
later.